week 3 of the fantasy baseball season. Here's a few pitchers I look to sell and trade this week. So I know it's still early in the season. Some people, they don't trade early in the year or trade at all in some fantasy leagues. But here's a few guys I think pitching over their head, and I would try to sell them at top value and peak value right now. The first pitcher, Emerson Hancock of the Seattle Mariners. He's been a top prospect for a few seasons in the system with the Seattle Mariners. And last season, he didn't have that great of a year. 90 innings, 4-5 record, 64 Ks, a 4.90 ERA, and 5 quality starts. But so far in the early going this season, in 2 starts, 12 2/3, 1 record, 14 Ks, and 0.71 ERA, 0.55 WHIP, and 2 quality starts. His control's definitely been great in the early going for Emerson Hancock. He's a guy that just made it at the back end of this rotation for this Mariner team. And we know the last couple seasons, they've really been calling up pitchers, and they've been great coming through the system. Obviously, Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, Ryan Wu, to name a few guys over the last couple seasons. And now Hancock, who's a top pitching prospect in this system. So far this season, he's off to a good start, even though, like I said, he struggled for the most part over the last 2 seasons. So the first couple games for Hancock, March 29th versus the Guardians, 6 innings, got the win in that one. No hits, a walk, 9 Ks, a quality start. And April 4th at the Angels, 6 2/3, got the loss, 6 hits, a run, 5 Ks, a quality start. So 2 good outings for Hancock in a row. But like I said, I don't know if it's going to keep up, even though this pitching staff over there in Seattle, they're producing top prospects, and these guys have made a big impact over the last couple seasons in the major leagues. And obviously they had a deep playoff run last season. But right now, like I said, with Hancock, he's off to a good start. But it could be early success where pitchers are hitters early in the season. And his next outing is a tougher one versus the Houston Astros on April 10th. So right now, while he's pitching well, and I'm not 100% sold on Hancock, if you could get good value for him, he's a pitcher I would sell this week. Next pitcher, Klay Holmes of the New York Mets. He was converted from a closer to a starter last season for the New York Mets, was Klay Holmes. And he actually did pitch 165 2/3. And believe it or not, was the most consistent pitcher for the New York Mets in 2025. And so far, in the first 2 starts for him in 2026, 12 2/3, 2-0 record, 9 Ks, a 1.42 ERA, and 0.95 WHIP, and a quality start. So this Met team, their rotation definitely upgraded from last year to go into the year with Freddie Peralta, Nolan McLean, and Klay Holmes, who has a year under his belt in the rotation, is definitely an upgrade. But like I said, 2 years in a row, we'll see if he can hold up and obviously be a guy could be consistent for this Met team. I know his arm's stretched out. I know last season he went out there, pitched a lot of innings, but sometimes that season after is where it could affect a guy going from the bullpen to a starting pitcher. But like I said, so far, hasn't been a problem. March 30th at the Cardinals, 5 2/3, got the win. 4 hits, 2 runs, 3 walks, 5 Ks. And April 4th at the Giants, 7 innings, and that one got the win. 3 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 4 Ks, a quality start. The only thing, I know the Mets, the last 3 games they've played without Soto, and they're hitting the baseball well, but the competition's going to get a little bit tougher in terms of a pitching staff. Arizona coming in, well, I think they're a decent staff, and also the Athletics coming in as well in the next week for this New York Met team. And with Soto now out 2 to 3 weeks with the calf strain, this offense, I don't expect them to score like they did in San Francisco, and definitely struggle with obviously one of the best players in all Major League Baseball out. So Klay Holmes, he got great run support in the April 4th game with 9 runs at the Giants. And like I said, I don't think it's going to be there every start for him. And also, he's a guy that could hit the wall as well, even though that he's stretched out. It's still early in the season, and he's a guy who's pitching well, who I would sell this week and see what I could get. Next pitcher, Michael Soroka, the mentioned Arizona Diamondbacks. So Soroka, he was a great pitcher and a top prospect in the Brave system many seasons ago, and obviously injuries have held Soroka back over the last couple seasons, but he's been a hot waiver wire pickup in the early going the season. On the year, 10 innings, 2-0 record, 13 Ks, and 0.90 ERA, 1.20 WHIP. So Soroka, he's been in and out of rotations and bounced around the league a little bit over the last couple seasons, but so far in 2 outings, he looks great for this Arizona Diamondback team. But the problem with them, they haven't given a lot of run support so far in the first 2 weeks of the season to their pitchers. And like I said, Michael Soroka, he's a guy that it just takes one little injury and he could be out for a long time with his track record, unfortunately, over the last few seasons. So right now, well, he's off to a good start. He's someone I would put on the trade block. And I've said this in videos in years past as well. Anytime you could pick someone up off the waiver wire and flip him in a deal for someone who's more consistent and a known commodity, this is the time to do it, especially early in the season. March 30th versus the Tigers, 5 innings, got the win. 4 hits, a walk, 10 Ks in that one. And April 4th versus Atlanta, 5 innings, got the win. 4 hits, a run, 3 walks, 3 Ks in that ball game. So his next outing will come towards the back part of the week for Michael Soroka. And like I said, he's pitching great baseball, no doubt about it, but he's another guy that's been toyed with over the last couple seasons. In rotation, in the bullpen. Last season, he only pitched Soroka 89 and 2/3. So like I said, I don't know if he's going to hold up. So while he's pitching good baseball, he's a pitcher to start this week. And like I said, most of these pitchers, you probably could get a decent bat in a deal, or if you want to get a closer in a deal, or another starter who's off to a slow start, a decent 1-for-1 deal. Next pitcher, Ronaldo Lopez of the Atlanta Braves. So this video, a lot of guys who converted from the bullpen into rotations over the last few seasons, but last year was a lost year for Lopez. He only pitched in 1 ball game, but so far this year he's off to a roaring start. 11 innings, 1-0 record, 6 Ks, a 1.64 ERA, 0.91 whip, and a quality start. And I know this Brave offense, they're a good offense, obviously, no doubt about it, even though a lot of good players on this roster are off to slow starts in the early going for this Atlanta Brave team. But I think they're a team that could be atop of the NL East this season is Atlanta. So the first 2 outings of the year for Lopez, March 28th versus the Royals, 6 innings, no decision, 3 hits, a run, 2 walks, 3 Ks, a quality start. And April 2nd at the D-backs, 5 innings, got the win, 4 hits, a run, a walk, 3 Ks. So he's off to a good start. Tomorrow he's got a good matchup on paper at the Angels. With this Angel team once again this season, I don't think they're going to do much, even though I know they got some boppers in the lineup. Zach Neto, Mike Trout, even though he's banged up, we'll see if he plays in tomorrow's ball game. Joe Adell, even though he's off to a slow start for this Los Angeles Angel team. So they got players in it. But Ronaldo Lopez, another guy on the waiver wire who I think help fantasy owners and flip him in a deal. But like I said, it's a good matchup coming up for him, and maybe after that, where he's owned in more fantasy leagues and more solidified, his value will go up even more for fantasy owners to sell off. So like I said, he's pitching well with Lopez. He's got a good offense backing him over there in Atlanta. But like I said, I don't know if he's going to hold up after last season. He missed the season pretty much except the 1 outing. And also, he was a reliever a few years ago, so still might not be 100% transition to a starter. And the final pitcher, Sandy Alcantara of the Miami Marlins. The only way I would tell Alcantara off, obviously, if you get a lot in a deal. And so far, he's off to a monster start and a perfect start. 16 innings, 2-0 record, 12 Ks, no runs given up, 0.56 whip, and 2 quality starts. So Alcantara in his second start of the season, he went out there and he put that to way that obviously he's still not 100% coming off of Tommy John a couple years ago. And also as well, we know that second season after Tommy John, these guys get back for the most part to where they were beforehand. And so far, Alcantara has done that exactly. March 27th versus the Rockies, 7 innings, got the win. 4 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 5 Ks, a quality start. And April 1st, I know it was the Chicago White Sox, but nowadays you don't see guys go the whole game, complete game shutout. In that one, 3 hits, 7 Ks in that ball game. So he's pitching tomorrow versus Cincinnati Reds. We know the Reds, they got some good offense in that lineup as well. Ellie De La Cruz, Spencer Steer, Sal Stewart, he's having a decent start for his first full season in the league as well. Eugenio Suarez, he still got pop. He can hit that baseball a long way. Tyler Stevenson. So they got a good offense, and this will be the tougher matchup so far in the early going for Sandy Alcantara. But like I said, at any time a guy's coming off a monster game, especially a complete game shutout, I would put him on the trade block and see what I could get. I'm not saying dump Alcantara for anything, but right now, well, he's at peak value coming off a masterclass ball game versus the White Sox. I would put out some feelers and see if I could sell him and get someone to overpay. So that's a few pitchers I'd look to sell and trade for week 3 of the fantasy baseball season.